Yashoda Nandana Rajanjanandana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Shoulder to Shri Shrimad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnu Pad Paramahamsa Parivajagacharya Shoulder to Shri Shrimad Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Gauti Vaishnava Ki Jai Namacharya Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai All glories Association of Devotees All glories Association of Devotees All glories Association of Devotees All glories to Shri Guru, all glories to Guru, all glories to Shri Prabhupada. Namo Vishnu Krishna Sai Buddha Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 1, Text 7 and 8. Yada Sabayam Gurudeva Devya Kesha Abhi Marsham Sutakarma Garhyam Na Varayam Asa Nripa Snusayaha Swashrayi Harantayaha Kucha Kumani Yada Sabayam Gurudeva Devya Yada Sabayam Gurudeva Devya Keshabi Marsham Sutakarma Garhyam Keshabi Marsham Sutakarma Garhyam Navarayam Asar Nripa Snusayaha Navarayam Asar Nripa Snusayaha Swashrir Harantya Kucha Kumani Swashray Harantya Kucha Kumani Yada Sabayam Gurudeva Devaya Keshabi Marsham Sutakarma Garyam Navarayam Asar Nripa Snusayaha Swashrir Harantya Kucha Kumani Yada Sabayam Gurudeva Devaya Devyaha Keshabi Marsham Sutakarma Garyam Navarayam Asar Nripa Snusayaha Swashrayer Harantya Kucha Kumani. Please repeat.
Yadha sabhayam Gurudeva
Samayam Gurudeva Devya. Kesha Bimarsham Sutakarma Garbhyam. Navayam Asa Nripasnushaya. Swashra Harantya Kuchakun Kumani. Yada Savayam Kudeva Devya. Yeshabhimarsham Sutakarma Garpyam. Navayam Ashanripasnushaya. Swashra Harantya Kuchakun Kumani. Yada Savayam Kudeva Devya. Yeshabhimarsham Sutakarma Garpyam. Navayam Ashanripasnushaya. Swashre Harantya Kuchakun Kumani. Kyada Sabhayam Kudeva Devya. Keshabhimarsham Sutakarma Garbhyam. Navayam Ashanripasnushaya. Swashre Harantya Kuchakun Kumani. Yada Savayam Kudeva Devya. Keshabhimarsham Sutakarma Garpyam. Navayam Ashanripasnushaya. Swashra Harantya Kuchakun Kumani. Okay. Word for word translation. Yada, when. Sabhahyam, the assembly. Kurudeva Devya, of Draupadi, the wife of godly Yudhishthira. Kesha Abhimarsham, insult by grabbing her hair. Sutakarma, action taken by his son. Garhyam, which was abominable. Na, did not. Varyam, Asha, forbid. Nripa, the king. Snushayaha, of his daughter-in-law. Swashrayi, by her tears. Harantaya, of she who was washing. Kuchakum kumani, red dust on her breast. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada. The king did not forbid his son Dushasana's abominable action of grabbing the hair of Draupadi, the wife of the godly King Yudhishthira, even though her tears washed the red dust on her breast. So I'm going to read the next verse and translation and purport. You don't have to chant. Yute twarar mina jitaisha saryo satyava lamba shavanam katasya na vatato dat samayina dayam tamoju sano yad ajata satro. Translation. Yudhishthira, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling. But because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, he went off to the forest. When he came back in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion. Purport. Maharaj Yudhishthira was the rightful heir to his father's kingdom, but just to favor his own sons headed by Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra Maharaj Yudhishthir's uncle adopted various unfair means to cheat his nephews of their rightful share of the kingdom. At last, the Pandavas demanded only 5 villages, one for each of the 5 brothers, but that was also refused by the usurpers. This incident led to the War of Kurukshetra. The Battle of Kurukshetra, therefore, was induced by the Kurus and not the Pandavas. As Kshatriyas, the proper livelihood of the Pandavas was only to rule and not to accept any other occupation. A Brahmana, Kshatriya, or Vaishya would not accept employment for his livelihood under any circumstance. Oh my Gana Tarana Sa, Gana Gana Salaka, Shakshu, only Tamina, Tashma, Shi, Guru, Namaha, Shi Chaitanya, no Bistam, Sapitamina, Putle, Swami Pakadam, Dadi, something Adikam. Vande Hum, Shi Guru, Shi Tak, the Kamalam, Shi Guru, and Vaishnavam Sha, Shi Rupam, Sagajatam, Sahakana, Ragunatam, Tam Sajivam, Sad Vetam, Savadutam, Parijana Saitam, Krishna Chaitanya Devam, Shi Radha, Krishna Pada, Sahakana Ladita, Shi Visakam, Tam Sha, Hey Krishna Karana, Sindhu Dina, Badojaga, Badego, Beshako, Bika, Kanta, Radha, Tanam, State, Topic on Sigo Rangi, Radha, Vindavaneshri, Bishopana, Sutta Devi, Bana, Mami, Haripi, Van Chakal, Padu, Bachaki, Pasinu, Bayavja, Patitanam, Padmio, Vaishnavi, Namahan. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Adalinga Namaste Namo Antaramane Namaha Gunaya Lokaya Vajase. Prabhitaya Nivitaya Pujideva Kamane Namo Namaha Vakaya Mitrave Dukadaya Cha. So, we are reading Canto 3, chapter entitled Questions by Vidura. So this translation is in response to Vidura's question, what else is there to say about the residential house of the Pandavas? And in this instance, there's a lot of culminating events that led to this event. I don't want to speak too much about that. However, it is important to know the context of the situation and the gravity of it. So pretty much Duryodhana challenged the Pandavas in the gambling match, and the dice was rigged, and eventually led to the Pandavas getting cheated out of their kingdom. So part of the gambling, they lost Draupadi, and they lost half their share of the kingdom. So in the translation, it says that Dushasana's action was abominable. And, you know, I want to talk about what exactly made it abominable. You know, so he grabbed the hair of Draupadi and he dragged her from one city to another. You know, this is a great Vaishnava aparad. Not only because Draupadi is a great devotee of the Lord, but, you know, back then you don't treat women like that. You don't grab them by the hair and drag them from one city to another. Back then and now. So, yeah, this is a very abominable act. It's an abominable act. And if you look at the Srimad Bhagavatam, there's many instances of Vaishnava aparads. One that's coming to mind is Daksha, when he offended Lord Shiva. And you see the results of such Vaishnava aparad. When Daksha offended Lord Shiva, he wasn't offended, but Sati, she was offended. And as a result, the whole sacrificial arena become desecrated. I think Lord Shiva created like a demon, and he ordered the demon to kill Daksha and all his associates. So the results of a Vaishnava aparad are very severe. And you see, actually, familiarity breeds contempt. Prabhupada would say this, and the devotees even here, we get familiar with each other, but sometimes we forget how rare it is to even come into the association of devotees. It's very rare, actually. It's in the Bhagavad Gita in the 7th chapter, I think checks 6 or 7, it says, Manusha Nam Sahasreshu. So out of millions and thousands of men, only very rare few are coming in the association of devotees. And then shortly after that, it says, Bhagunam Jamanamante, Ganavam Mampapadyante Vasudeva Savamiti Samahama Sudurlabha. Such a great soul is very rare. So if you see, even while in the context of even in Krishna life, it's really hard to sometimes, respect the position of our fellow, God brothers or Vaishnavas in the temple. So we have to be careful about Vaishnava aparad, because you see even in the context of Lord Shiva and also in this verse at hand, the result is destruction, a whole battle, the whole war, millions of people were killed off the basis of a Vaishnava aparad. It's very severe thing. And actually, in the Bhagavad Gita, it actually talks about abominable activities. In Bhagavad Gita, verse 2, text 49, it says, "Keep all abominable activities far distant by devotional service, and in not consciousness surrender unto the Lord." And the purport, Prabhupada says something very interesting. He says, anything other than Krishna conscious activities are abominable. And this is, for like a gross materialist, telling them that, if they want to open up a hospital or establish charities, and you tell them that this is abominable, they might be shocked, because Prabhupada is saying, in the purport, anything other than Krishna conscious activities are abominable. And we have to understand why, So that means both pious and impious acts in this material world have no real benefit towards the soul. Why? Because it keeps you bound up in the cycle of samsara. So if you want to surrender unto the Krishna, like it says in the Bhagavad Gita, verse 249, you have to be careful of abominable activities, which Vaishnava aparad being one of the chief. It's called the mad elephant. It completely destroys any devotional service you have. I think, what was it? No, I'm thinking. In the 9th canto, what's his name? Durvasa Muni. So yeah, Durvasa Muni. So he committed Vaishnava aparad, Maharaj Ambareesh. And I think in the purport, Prabhupada says the only way to rectify it is to bow down the lotus feet of the devotee. Even Krishna himself can't save a devotee who's committed an offense against another devotee. So we have to be very careful about how we treat each other, And the thing is, the reason why these activities are abominable, not only Vaishnava aparad, but also other activities in the material world, both pious and impious, is because, like I said, it just furthers in your cycle of birth and death. And the reason why people understand that it's abominable, because they don't know who they are. I remember in a lecture, where was I? In Croatia, and I'll never forget His Holiness Bhakta Swami Maharaj. He said, if you don't know who you are, then every single thing you do is wrong. And I think about that, and when I'm on books, I think about that a lot, actually. Because it's a heavy statement. If you don't know who you are, then every single thing you do is wrong. You can dedicate your life to feeding the homeless. You can dedicate your life to, having some, medical treatment for cancer. But ultimately, because you don't know that you're serving a Krishna, is wrong. And it's a hard pill to digest, actually. But devotees can understand this because they know who they are. At least they're trying to know, We know that we're servants of Krishna, we're part and parcel of Krishna, and actually we have no real relation to this material world. So just trying to drive home this point that's in the translation, why it's abominable. Dushasana, he was portraying the characteristics of a demon because he didn't know who he was. If he knew who he was, he would understand that Draupadi is also, part and parcel of Krishna, and to treat her like that is a great Vaishnava aparad. So we should understand from this. It's just a translation, so I don't want to go to. I want to really talk about the next verse, but that's the main thing I wanted to talk about for this one. That you should know who you are, and you should be careful about Vaishnava aparad. So, the next verse number 8, I'll just read the translation again. Yudhishthira, who was born without any enemy, was unfairly defeated in gambling. But because he had taken the vow of truthfulness, he went off to the forest. When he came back in due course and begged the return of his rightful share of the kingdom, he was refused by Dhritarashtra, who was overwhelmed by illusion. So, this can be unpacked in many different ways. But I want to highlight this word truthfulness. In the age of Kali, it says that Dharma, the 4 legs of Dharma, as we know, truthfulness, austerity, mercy, cleanliness. Truthfulness is the only thing remaining. That's the only leg of Dharma that's remaining, and it's being attacked. It's constantly being pounded. And I remember listening to a lecture by my Guru Maharaj. He's saying that you see these politicians, it apparently seems that so many people are lying. People are getting cheated like anything. It almost seems like those, even in business, those who lie the most, or the most expert in cheating, are the most glorified. So how can truthfulness be the only how can truthfulness still be standing in this age of Kali? And his analysis was that although people are just, like, conniving, they at least expect you to be truthful. Yeah, this is what he said. Truthfulness is at least expected in this age, and that's why people are getting cheated. Think about it. Like, at this last convention, me and Jacob, I was telling Jacob, this guy, he was an American, and he was telling me about Sai Baba, how Sai Baba came to him in his dreams, and how Sai Baba told him to come to India, and then, and he was showing me this video of how Sai Baba had, like, his hand, he put his hands up, and then he had dust manifesting from his hands, and he was like, you see all this dust? Yeah, the Afro News, yeah, exactly. And then he was like, it has to be God. It has to be God. And he was saying, like, he's the incarnation of Krishna. I'm just thinking, people just want to be cheated. Because how can you, just because somebody manifests dust, they think they're God. Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill, he married, 16,108 wives. But somebody manifests dust and they're God. So, but the point of truthfulness, they expect that, and he's telling me that he's God, so he must be. And so people expect others to be truthful. So in that sense, truthfulness in the age of Kali, people expect it, but it's mainly people are just getting cheated. And that's why they're getting cheated, because they're expecting others to be truthful. So in this age of Kali, the reason why these 4 legs of Dharma are being battered, because it says that, so with the degradation, so cleanliness is degraded by illicit sex. What else? Yeah, meat eating is mercy. Meat eating spoils mercy, and intoxication spoils austerity. So people in this age of Kali, they don't necessarily expect you to not intoxicate. Even Christians, Jesus drank wine. Why can't I have, my alcohol? What else? Even like meat eating, Muslims would claim, we pray so many times a day, but then they're killing the cow. So every day, like mercy, cleanliness, and austerity is just getting battered away, and only the Krishna conscious devotees can understand the value of these. The reason why they can understand the value is because by coming to this platform of spiritual Dharma, naturally you gain the qualities of respecting material Dharma. What's that verse? Savai pum sampara dharmo yato bhaktir dokshashe ahutikya pratahadi aprihata yayat me supersediti. So this is real Dharma, actually. What is this? Is supreme occupation is what? The supreme Dharma for all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. This is the supreme Dharma. Somebody might portray themselves to be truthful. Somebody might portray themselves to be clean because they take a bath. But ultimately, it's all useless if it's not dovetailed in the service of Krishna. The 4 legs of Dharma, they're only valuable as long as they're practiced in relationship to Krishna consciousness. So, and actually even in the Gita, 16 and chapter 16, it says that they actually mentions this truthfulness, mercy, cleanness, austerity, and it says that these belong to those endowed with divine nature. So by coming to the platform of Krishna consciousness, naturally you imbibe the qualities of those who are divine, the qualities of the demigods. Without being Krishna conscious, all your so-called truthfulness, mercy, and austerity is just a hoax. It's a farce. So we should understand the difference between material Dharma and spiritual Dharma, and how coming to the platform of spiritual Dharma, naturally you can come to the platform of respecting material Dharma. Even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he proclaims that it's in the 13th chapter. He says, "What is knowledge?" And he actually also mentions these qualities, truthfulness, cleanness, and he says, all things that are not this is not knowledge. Anything that's not, it's like a list in the 13th chapter. It's not knowledge. And it's interesting, the purport Prabhupada says that the most important thing on that list is surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master. Without surrendering to a bona fide spiritual master, you cannot attain any actual like divine qualities, or you can actually you come to the platform of being a human being. So it's very important to understand how naturally being Krishna conscious, we can also develop appreciation and also these divine qualities such as truthfulness, cleanliness, mercy, austerity. It's interesting because, our intrinsic nature is to serve. Naturally, as spirit beings, we want to serve, but we're serving the wrong things. We're serving our senses, we're serving society, we're serving community, we want to serve animals, we want to serve pets. But if you understand who you are, then you understand where your service should go. And that goes back to the point of this whole lecture is, just by simply understanding that you're part and parcel of Krishna, you can come to a platform of transcendental knowledge and bliss. It even says that in, Raja Vijay Rajaguru Pavichamita Uttamam. It's a king of knowledge. You say this on books all the time. It's a king of knowledge. Why is it a king of knowledge? Why? Why is it a king of knowledge? Because it gets you out of the material existence. It gets you on the transcendental platform where you don't have to experience birth, death, old age, and disease. This is why it's a king of knowledge. You can go to school, you can go to college, but the knowledge they teach you is only implicating you further and further into material existence. However, the knowledge of Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, it's a king of knowledge because it gives you true bliss. It connects you to your ultimate spiritual dharma, and it fully satisfies you. Ultimately, we're all seeking satisfaction, but we're seeking satisfaction in the wrong places. All we have to do is plug into the spiritual energy, and when we plug into the spiritual energy, we can realize who we actually are. And when we realize who we actually are, we can't help but want to give this knowledge to other people. Actually, to be Krishna conscious and to be a humanitarian or philanthropist, whatever, they're inextricably linked. Because you can't say you're Krishna conscious, but you don't care about the welfare of others. It's not. You can't say, "Oh, I'm Krishna conscious, but I just want to do kirtan melas, and I practice in my home, and that's cool." No, because we have to be in the mood of Prahlad Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj said he wasn't satisfied with the yogis being in the mountains, just meditating. He wasn't satisfied with this. He wasn't even satisfied with his own liberation. He was already liberated. Lord Nrsimhadev, he touched his head and he became endowed with transcendental knowledge of Divya Gyan. He came endowed with transcendental knowledge. However, he couldn't help but think about the suffering of others. This is a quality of Krishna consciousness. If you're not constantly, seeking how can I serve Krishna, how can I spread this Krishna consciousness movement, then you missed the point. You missed the point. Actually, a symptom of being advanced in Krishna consciousness is your enthusiasm to serve. Your enthusiasm to serve and your detachment from material gratifications. So that's why you see Mahosaha, He's so advanced because he's so enthusiastic to achieve so many Bhagavatam sets. This is a symptom of an advanced devotee. This is a symptom of somebody who's understand how to imbibe the words of the spiritual master. Subverse. Vya Vasa Yamika Buddhi. I think Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur, he said that the real meaning of this verse is take the words of the spiritual master and make it one with your heart. So we should make the words of the spiritual master one with the heart. And what is the words of the spiritual master? A lot of people are like, oh, I didn't get an instruction from my guru, so how can I make it one with my heart? But no, you did. When you read Prabhupada's books, so you have specific instructions for certain people, and then you have general instructions for the advancement of everybody. And Prabhupada clearly says, distribute my books. That is the instruction of the guru. Not only that, he says, chant your 16 rounds, follow the 4 regular principles. So you should make this one with your heart. You should every day meditate, how can I please my guru? How can I better my rounds? How can I please the devotees? How can I advance in Krishna consciousness? And this should be your meditation. If it's not your meditation, you're going to be forced to meditate on sense gratification. That's the nature of the mind. It has to ponder on something. The nature of the mind, it has to contemplate something. So if you're not keeping the object of your contemplation on the words of your spiritual master, you're going to be forced to meditate on sense gratification. This is very important. And that's why you see with the Dushashana, he wasn't meditating on the fact that Krishna was in front of him, nor did he respect the fact that Krishna was God. And because he didn't do that, he was being dragged by his senses, was forced him to grab the hair of Draupadi, eventually strip her naked. Or attempt to strip her naked. He didn't, because Krishna saved her. But Draupadi is we should follow in her mood. You see this picture, while he was stripping her, at first by her own endeavor, she tried to hold on to her garment. By her own endeavor, she tried to hold on. But then eventually she just let go and called out Govinda. So, by our own efforts, we cannot be Krishna conscious. I think in the Damodar Leela, it's two fingers short, right? And I remember Vishnu Prabhu was saying that one finger is our mercy, and the other is one finger is our endeavor, is our endeavor. The other is the mercy of Krishna. So, our endeavor is there. It's not like, Gumaraj, he always says this, honorary degree. He always speaks of this honorary degree, I don't need a pride. I could just, sit at home and somebody's gonna just bless me with an honorary degree. Some people, I could just stay in the temple, chant a little bit, and then Krishna's gonna give me the mercy. It doesn't work like that. Yes, you have endeavor. Yes, you should endeavor. That's first. You should endeavor. By the same time, your endeavor alone cannot save you. You also need the mercy of the Vaishnavas. You need the mercy of Krishna. And Draupadi fully, when she let go, this incident shows how, once you let go and completely surrender to Krishna, he will save you. But you have to have faith. You should have faith. So we shouldn't endeavor for perfection. And ultimately, when we have faith in the process of Krishna consciousness, Krishna will, he will bestow his mercy. And what is his mercy? I was listening to a guru. What's this? But this lecture by my Guru Maharaj. So it's a verse. So Tesham Satata Yudana Badadam Priti Purvakam Dadame Budi Yogam Danina Mambo Upayanti Jay. And what's the next verse after that? 10, 11. I don't know the Sanskrit, but it's I think so. Yeah, exactly. So with the shining torchlight of, right. So with the shining lamp of knowledge, right, all ignorance is destroyed, right. And then Prabhupada, he says in the purport that, he says that Krishna gives you his mercy when you surrender unto him, when you have full faith in him. But what is his mercy? Is mercy, Krishna's going to give me a nice house, or Krishna's going to give me a nice car, a nice wife. No, this is not mercy, actually. Real mercy is the eradication of your material desires, the eradication of material sense gratification. This is real mercy. But who wants to go to a guru and pray, please remove all my material desires? No. Only very rare souls would do that. Just like in the verse, like I said, only rare souls come to Krishna consciousness. And even among them, only rare souls want actually to eradicate their material desires. But this is real mercy. People always say, I want the mercy. But real mercy is getting rid of your material desires and removing the dust of ignorance from your heart. This is real mercy. Why is it real mercy? Because when the dust of material contamination is removed from your heart, you can understand who you are. Back to the point, if you don't know who you are, then every single thing you do is wrong. Even as devotees, you could be in devotional society and still think, I'm just a brahmachari, or I'm just a whatever. I'm just a brahmana, or I'm a vaishya. And you get bewildered by this. Actually, you can get bewildered by the idea of thinking that you're just a brahmana, or you're just a brahmachari, but you're not. You're falling in line with Varnashram Dharma. You're doing it to please Krishna, but ultimately you are part and parcel of Krishna. And it's easy to get attached to your certain material condition even while being in Krishna consciousness. So we should always remember we are part and parcel of Krishna, and we're going through the process of our Ashram Dharma to please Krishna, not for our own ego. So, like I said, Krishna consciousness is the only way to fully satisfy us. You know? It's the only way to fully satisfy us. How can something temporary ever? I tell people all the time, you know, how can something material ever satisfy you if it's temporary? Because ultimately, the soul's the jiva, he wants something eternal, and he's seeking it in the wrong places. Prabhupada says, it's in the first canto and the second chapter, but I forget what's the exact purport. But he talks about the need of the soul. What does the soul want? What does the soul desire? The soul desires to break through the coverings of the universe and go back home to Krishna and to have full freedom. That is the desire of the soul. Desire of the soul is not to be entangled in material existence. But because the soul identifies with the body, you know, it's forced to, you know, be attached to material things. It's forced to. That's why this knowledge is king, Raja Vijay Raja Guyam, because it detaches you from identifying with the body. What's that? Pravitram. It's pure. It's pure. What knowledge in the material world is pure? It's all contaminated. You go to university, you know, you're seeing it. These students are so bewildered. You know, they're learning so much. Some schools, you have to be like top of your class, you know, and just to even get like in high school, you'd be top of your class just to get in this college. So obviously they've had so much studying. They've read so much, but they're so disturbed because the knowledge is not pure. The more we read, when we show people the Bhagavatam, we show them, I'm like, yeah, I read all the way up to this, like the 11th canto. And they're shocked. They're like, what? You read all this? Because they have an idea of like, oh, the more you read, it's like, it gets boring, it gets stale. You know, that's like school. You know, the more you read in school, you get frustrated. You just want to just go on Spark Notes or something. just whatever. But the more you read the Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, the more you get this higher taste, you get some bliss, this param drisva nivartante. And this is the only thing that's going to sustain us, actually. We can't, unless we get a higher taste in Krishna consciousness, we're going to seek a higher taste in material gratifications. Bottom line, you know. And you get the higher taste by reading Srila Prabhupada's books, by associating with devotees, and by distributing the books, and by doing Sankirtan. And if you can't do Sankirtan, at least helping facilitate the Sankirtan mission. You know, this is the mood of Lord Chaitanya, that this is what he came to give us, you know. This Ananda Buddhi, what's it? Ananda Buddhi Vardhanam? Yeah, so this unlimited ocean of bliss. It's an ocean of bliss waiting for us to dive in. But we just have to have faith in the process. The more we cling on to our material desires, the more we're being far removed from the mercy. You know. And then you see, I forget, it's a verse in Bhagavad Gita, I think it's in the 4th chapter, is saying that like millions of people have tried this process and they've become liberated. Thousands of kings in the past have done it and they become liberated. So it's a bona fide process. It's scientific, actually. It's a scientific process. Science means what? You know, you have an experiment hypothesis and you see the result, you have a conclusion. And you're seeing the conclusion. Like, you're seeing people are getting liberated. You're seeing people are getting purified. You know, how is it that, you know, people from, 18 to 30, the prime time of their life to enjoy, are renouncing, you know, what society is propagating? How is it possible? How is it possible for young men and women, you know, to completely neglect, you know, modern societies and modern values of, you know, partying, drugs, whatever, and become, you know, a monk? How is this possible? It has to be some type of bliss in the process for somebody to do that. 100%. It has to be some bliss. If there's no bliss, then we wouldn't be here. So this is the process of Krishna consciousness. This is the process of Krishna consciousness, understanding who you are and understanding your intrinsic nature. So just to go more through the purport, it says, But just to favor his own sons headed by Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra, Maharaj Yudhishthir's uncle, adopted various unfair means to cheat his nephews of their rightful share of the kingdom. So this is a symptomatic of family attraction, how family attraction causes bewilderment. You know, yeah, so Duryodhana, he adopted various unfair means to cheat his nephews. You know, Dhritarashtra adopted various unfair means. Although they're his nephews, you know, he cheated them so many ways. So many ways. Why? Just so that his own sons could have title to a throne. So you see how family attraction is a cause of bewilderment, and it leaves you with you lose all sense of understanding Dharma actually. You know, because Dhritarashtra was there, so that would be he would be the uncle. Yeah, he's the uncle of the Pandavas, so he has a relationship with Draupadi. So he's witnessing somebody in his family getting stripped, and he says nothing. Why? Because he's attracted to his sons, so his sons can do no wrong in his eyes. So we should understand who our real family is. We could be attached to our family, but the problem is when they're performing nefarious acts, we get implicated in it. So we have to understand who our real family is. I think Parameshwara, he was just funny. He was standing right in front of Lord Chaitanya, and he was telling me, your family doesn't love you. You know, and it really honestly, they really don't love you. And I just thought about it, and it's completely true, you know? Like, because they really love you. Real love is actually giving you somebody Krishna consciousness. This is real love. Only because you have this same material situation, by past karma, you guys were brought into a similar situation, and because of that, they think that's love. But no, we're only together because of our past karma. Actually, when I was on the plane coming to Atlanta, I was thinking about this: how material life is just like this, family life is just like this. You know, you come, you board a plane. You might have people next to you. You might talk to them a little bit, whatever. You might even, have a react. You might even like them, whatever, like in an interaction. And you leave the plane, and y'all go your respective destinations. Same thing with material life. You come on, you board the plane of suffering material existence, and through that you have an association of people who just happen to be there with you. And then once you leave your body, once you leave the plane, you're just gone. You guys go your respective destinations. So we should understand who our real family is, who our real friends are. Our real family are devotees. Why? Because we actually have a family. Just how, the material world is a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So just how there's family in the material world, there's also family in the spiritual world. So the devotees are our real friends. The devotees are our real family. And it is, especially coming new into Krishna consciousness, is really hard to understand this, because how can somebody I don't know be my family? How can somebody I didn't grow up with be my family? Well, because you guys are both on the process of understanding who you are, and you guys are both on the process of becoming liberated. So because of that, you're performing eternal activities. And when you perform eternal activities, when you get promoted to spiritual realm, so these friends we have in the temple, these are eternal relationships actually. Our family is temporary, but the relationship we're building here is eternal, because we're basing them on the eternal principle of serving Krishna. So this is very important to understand. We should not neglect the association of devotees. This is our real family. This is our real friends. It might sound a little culty, but if you think about it, I think Mahosa says this example, if you were born in a house right next to your house, would your parents care about you? Probably not. But we've all come from so many bad situations, but yet the devotees here care about us so much. We commit so many offenses, but the devotees are so merciful, they forgive us. They're so tolerant. How many hours Chandan Acharya spends with these new bhaktas? It's really phenomenal. Even your own family wouldn't spend that much time talking to you about your problems, trying to help you grow. So family attraction is a cause of bewilderment. And you see this with the case of Dhritarashtra. And keep going through the purport. So it says that at last the Pandavas demanded only 5 villages, one for each of them, each of the 5 brothers, but that was also refused by the usurpers. So this is interesting. Like, although the Pandavas completely the gambling match was rigged, they got cheated of their kingdom. They spent 13 years in exile. You know, when they came back, they fulfilled. Although they got cheated, they adhered. Okay, they got cheated. They adhered to it. They came back. They always okay. Just give us 5 villages. Although they were entitled to have their share of the kingdom back, he refused it, and they only asked for 5 villages. They were trying to have some type of compromise, and still was refused. And Ram Nomi was last week, and I remember we were reading in Dallas that Lord Ramachandra. So Lord Ram, when he was trying to cross the ocean to go to Lanka, he asked permission from Varuna, the king of the ocean god, and Varuna just kind of just like just didn't respond, like whatever. And he was persistent because he wanted to go to save Sita, but for like I think it was like a week or two, he just ignored him. And then Lord Rama said, good character holds no value in the face of wretched persons. So although he's being tolerant, although he's being patient, for those who are wretched and wicked, they can't understand the value of these good qualities. So that's actually why the whole battle of Kurukshetra underwent, because the Pandavas were trying to be tolerant. They were showing these divine qualities. However, Krishna told Arjuna, you need to fight. You are such you need to fight. You're trying to go and be a yogi, and they're not gonna respect you for this. How can somebody who's wretched respect a fighter going to a forest? No, they will respect you when you fight and you kill them. That's really how you get your respect. I think what he says, dishonor is worse than death. So we should understand when to employ certain qualities. For example, like I said, Krishna wanted Arjuna to be angry, but he was being tolerant. And that's symptomatic of a saintly person. A saintly person is tolerant. But we should understand, Guru Maharaj gave this lecture. What's the name of his lecture? Vaishnava Aparad Causes Disaster. And he mentioned this point, how, a Vaishnava is tolerant towards insults towards himself, but he should know when to employ anger. And you employ anger when you see somebody else, another Vaishnava, being insulted. If not, you get implicated. Because Krishna loves his devotees more than he loves himself. So you should know exactly. So like I said, a Vaishnava naturally doesn't want to get angry. It's actually funny because even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, lust, anger, greed, these are 3 gates to hell. But then in the same vein, Krishna's telling Arjuna to fight, be angry. So that's interesting. You should be angry when you see somebody insulting a devotee, because a devotee is not an ordinary person. Like I said, Manushanam Sahasrashu. He, out of the millions of people, somebody finally comes to associate with a devotee. A devotee is rare, and Krishna loves his devotees. So we should, in order to love Krishna, if we want to show love to Krishna, we also have to show love to his associates. And you show love by protecting the devotees. So yeah, one should be angry when a Vaishnava is insulted. But beyond that, I want to talk about tolerance. We should be tolerant, though. Actually, tolerance is required to develop love for Krishna. And what is tolerance? It says in Bhagavad Gita 2:14. What's that? Matras parshas tu konteya sitosna sukha dukkha daya agama penino nijas tam tiksha bharata. So tolerance is, whether through heat, cold, happiness or distress, somebody's fixed. They're not disturbed by the changing of material nature. Yeah, go up. Yeah. O son of Kunti, the non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress and the disappearance in due course are like the appearance and disappearance of winter and summer seasons. They arise from sense perception, O Skiyana Bharata, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So we have to understand when to use anger when Vaishnava is being insulted. We have to be tolerant. And actually, tolerance, we chant this every morning, actually. You know, Trinata peace, Unichi, not the world, Iva, Sahishan, Amani, Namani, Nakitani, Nasadare. You know, we have to be tolerant like a tree. A tree is, you know, a tree lives to serve others, actually. You know, at the cost of suffering itself, it suffers through heat, cold, you know, but it still provides shade to sadhus. It still provides fruits to the impious. So the tree is merciful to all, whether you're pious or impious. So we should develop this quality of tolerance, just like the tree, and we should understand, you know, as a sadhu. Actually, I just read this in the 11th canto that a sadhu, a devotee, is greater than the demigods. Why? Because the demigods can only give you, so demigods work on like a transactional basis. You know, you perform some type of pious act and they reward you accordingly. But the sadhus, irrespective of how much you give to them, they're so merciful that they whether you're pious or impious, they're still going to be there to try to purify you and bring you back home to Krishna, irrespective of what acts you've done. Irrespective, doesn't matter how many pious acts you've done, a sadhu is there irrespective of your current situation to give you the highest bliss, which is Krishna consciousness. So like I said, the tree is personally suffering at the cost of serving others. When we go on TSKP, I mean Jacob, you know, it was like, 30 degrees, it was windy, it was raining, but we had to wake up and take a bath. What can we do? We're there to do books, but at the cost of doing books, we have to go through some austerity. Not, you know, whether take a cold bath in the morning is fine, but it's there. So this is symptomatic of understanding that without tolerating the onslaughts of material nature, you can't actually develop love for Krishna. Because actually, when I'm taking a cold bath, all I'm meditating is, I'm doing this for you, Krishna. I'm not doing this for myself. What insane person just wants to take a bath outside at 4 o'clock in the morning at a Walmart to gratify their own senses? No, we only go through this for Krishna. Krishna loves. What's that? Mahosa quotes this in Dallas. I think it's in the 2nd canto. Anyways. Prabhupada says like a easygoing life and Krishna consciousness go ill together, and that Krishna wants to see how bad we want to serve him. And he'll test us. These tests will be there. You know, when we first come to Krishna consciousness, you know, it's easy going a little bit. You know, you come in, take a prasadam, you know, the devotees are very, you know, lenient. But the more you stay in Krishna consciousness, the more it gets difficult. The more your rounds aren't as blissful. You have to work a little bit harder to get a higher taste, you know. And Krishna wants to see how bad you want to serve him. Because it's not, love for Krishna isn't a cheap thing, you know. This is, because when you love Krishna, Krishna becomes controlled by the love of his devotees. So bhakti yoga is not a cheap process. We should understand the supremacy of bhakti yoga. We should understand that without bhakti yoga, there's no actual happiness for the soul or for others. So we develop tolerance for the purpose of propagating Krishna consciousness. We develop tolerance for the purpose of developing love for Krishna. And I quickly want to go through this last point in the purport of, it says, as Kshatriya is a proper livelihood for the Pandavas is the only rule not to accept any other occupation. A Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya will not accept employment for his livelihood under any circumstances. This is very significant. This is hinting at Varnashram Dharma. This is hinting at Varnashram Dharma. No, a Kshatriya, so they only begged, so the Pandavas, they only asked for 5 villages and they were denied. So what else were they going to do? If they didn't have a kingdom to rule, then naturally they would have to, you know, take employment. And this is completely against their nature of Kshatriyas. Kshatriyas have the nature of wanting to rule and protect and fight. So that's the goal of the Krishna consciousness movement, is to reestablish Varnashram Dharma, and we do it through books and forums. So human society is not different from animal society as long as they don't follow the rules of Dharma. And Varnashram Dharma is put in place for us to come from a platform of animal-like consciousness to human-like consciousness. At the end of the day, we're all born Sudras. We're all born corrupt. But Varnashram Dharma, Krishna created the system of Varnashram Dharma. Chatur Varnam, what? Yes, Anur Varnam Maya Shrishtam. So he says he created these 4 orders. Why? For the purpose of purification. So these farm communities are very significant because it says the Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya will not accept employment for his livelihood under any circumstance. Why? Because they're twice born. Their only duty is to serve the guru. They're twice born Sudras, they don't necessarily have to have a guru. They just work under the upper classes. But now you're seeing that Sudras are in power, Actually, modern education they're only producing educated Sudras. They're only producing educated Sudras. They're really not even Sudras, they're less than that, they're religious. Because even Sudras can accept working under like a Brahmana, but they can't even respect the position of a Brahmana. So they're less than Sudras. Look, the farm communities are significant, so our devotees don't have to go to these hellish cities and societies and work under these beef-eating bosses. The farm communities are supposed to be in place so devotees can come and they can practice Krishna consciousness without being affected by the onslaughts of material nature. And what do we need? What is the needs of the material nature? What do you need? Food, clothing, shelter. What else do you need? You don't need a big house. You don't need extravagant clothing. All you need is a place to live, place to sleep, and place to eat. That's it. And so our farm communities, they provide these necessities. But the farm communities can only come in place by making devotees and by the propagation of Krishna consciousness by book distribution. So we should understand who we are. We should understand why we're in this Krishna consciousness movement. We should understand the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement. If we don't understand the importance of the Krishna consciousness movement, then even within being Krishna conscious and even being as a devotee, everything we're doing is wrong. Because we don't understand what the goal is. We don't understand what's pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. We don't understand what's pleasing to our own guru. So, we should continue distributing books. We should continue doing Harinam Sankirtan. We should continue doing Prashadam distribution. We should continue respecting, our fellow devotees and understanding that without this association, where would we be? Where would we be running the association of devotees? What would we be doing? I think yesterday somebody was asking about being grateful. If being grateful can lead to being Krishna conscious or something. And not in itself, no, but we should be grateful about what we do have in Krishna consciousness. We should constantly be grateful that Krishna saved us. We shouldn't forget what brothel we fell out of. So this gratefulness can be used in Krishna consciousness, but in itself, it's not going to make you Krishna conscious. Gratefulness in itself won't make you Krishna conscious. However, when you're in Krishna consciousness and you're grateful for what Krishna gave you, that you can make advancement by just understanding. Because if you're always hankering for, oh man, I need to do this, I need to do that, and you're not grateful for what Krishna is giving you right now. Be grateful for the association of devotees. If not, you're constantly going to hanker and lament. Going through the cycle of hankering, lamentation, because you're not grateful, you're not satisfied. You don't understand the supremacy of bhakti yoga. It's a supreme occupation because it fully satisfies the soul. It's pure. Bhavitramita Buddha. It's pure. Not only that, it's susukam avyam kartam. It's joyously performed. It's joyous. The process is joyous and the result is joyous. It's not like we're performing all austerities, we're not getting bliss, and then at the end we merge into one. No. The means and the goal are the same. The means of bhakti yoga and the end is the same. In the means of bhakti yoga, we have association of devotees, we're blissful. In the end, we have association of devotees, we're blissful. And that's why it's supreme. But in order for us to get there, we should understand who we are, and we should understand the mission of the Krishna consciousness movement. So I will end my class there and open it up for discussion. corrections, chastisements.
Chastisement. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Is it on or?
It was on.
Yeah, it was on. Anyways, the mic's working. So, anyways, I think everybody can hear me. So, anyways, I had like 2 questions potentially, but maybe I'll just ask one to make a comment. So you're talking about the last leg of Dharma, truth. You mentioned it some, but it's really interesting actually. And devotee used to make that point a lot to me when I first moved in about how like truthfulness is like the last leg, and I think Prabhupada mentions like that's kind of like shaking. But even still to this day, like people place a lot of emphasis on truthfulness. Like if someone is like, not austere, nobody cares if somebody's austere, and if somebody's merciful, it's like whatever, and then somebody's clean, it's like okay, like whatever. They took a bath, or like maybe they didn't take a bath. But if someone's like a liar, it's like, oh my God, it's like, you freaking lied.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a big deal. It's like, how could you? And then
Yeah.
that was like one of the whole things with, what's his name? With Clinton. It didn't really matter so much that like he did like some nonsense with some woman and cheated on his wife, but it was like he lied. He's a liar.
Right.
And so in Kali Yuga, it's like, that's like you'd be debauching another one. You could be a drunker, womanizer, filthy and everything. But if you're a liar, it's like,
that's like the worst.
You're the
thing
worst.
You could do.
You're a
Like
liar.
the worst thing you could do.
So
Yeah, that's a good point actually. That's a good point. That people have some respect for those who are truthful, and I'm very ironic because I'm the most truthful person here. So, but yeah, it's true. Just by being truthful, you can get some respect in society just by telling the truth. But the thing is, I wanted to make this point in class actually. People don't really know what real truth is. Like you can say, you can be truthful on the material platform, but real truth is understanding that you're not part of this material world, and this material world is full of suffering. This is real truthfulness. And this is why we're trying to get people. People think we're cheating them by giving these books out, but we're giving them real truthfulness. Actually, you could be truthful on the material platform. I think Chandan you were showing me this, and Prabhupada says like, a devotee can say any lie for the purpose of what was you showing? Yeah.
When Dhritarashtra leaves home,
Yeah.
and that we perform this great act of cheating.
Yeah. Transcendental cheating.
For the sake of propagating the message of Srimad.
Right. This transcendental cheating for the purpose of propagating Krishna consciousness. And it's like, so he's cheating, but it's transcendental. It almost seems like it's like an oxymoron, But yeah, so the real truthfulness is propagating Krishna consciousness and giving people Krishna consciousness.
Then one last comment on that, and then just a question. But I think also too, I don't remember all the details, but I think they taught us in history was an honest Abe.
Yeah,
they said
yeah.
Abraham Lincoln never told a lie. Anyways, it's probably not true, but but I remember growing up in school and hearing that was like
that was
a
a big
remarkable
thing.
quality of him. But anyways, whatever. But so just one question I had, and I had another one this time, but probably not. So you were talking about like pretty much the principle that we join in Krishna consciousness and it's easy and it gets a little bit difficult after some time. So I was wondering if you can comment some more on that, because it seems like it should be the opposite, that we join and we take up and then things become easier because we become more attached to Krishna and we make advancement and we lose material desires. But then it seems like at some point, like it doesn't. It just it seems like we hit like a whatever, like a slow down or something, like uphill.
Yeah, it is. That's true. So in the Brahmacharya and Krishna Consciousness book, actually, Guru Maharaj makes this point that when you first join Krishna Consciousness, Krishna gives you like a strong dose of like nectar, because Krishna knows what you need to be in Krishna Consciousness. So the point I'm making is that first we might join. Like chanting is easy, you might chant, you might feel, wow, this is blissful, it's like, or you might take prasadam for the first time, and you're like, wow, like, this is amazing, I'm zooted. But then over time, like, you kind of like, it's just like prasadam, and it doesn't, like, it's not that same, because you kind of get used to it, so you have to kind of remind yourself, okay, this is Krishna prasadam, we're honoring it, it's not just food. You should honor, this prasadam because it's mercy. Krishna personally, actually by him eating it becomes non-different from him. So the point I was making was just like in the beginning, as far as easy being like, yeah, you can. It's easy to kind of just like come along and chant, and you don't have so many like how I put it. You don't have so many like major hangups. I'm speaking for myself actually. I don't speak general. For myself, it was like, oh yeah, this is nice. It's a nice process. I like it. I might not do it now because I'm attached materially, but yeah, I like it. But then over time, more you actually become serious, then the more you have to work for the higher taste. That's really the point I was making. That the more you become serious, the more you have to work for this higher taste. In the beginning, Christian might give you a high dose, but later on, he'll give it to you, but you got to go do some books or facilitate the Christian conscious movement. So that was the point I was making.
Right, thank you.
I remember in Mayapur we were talking about this. Vishnu Chittaprabhu. Where were you? I guess you had to have been in the vehicle, right?
We're talking about what?
He was telling us, like, there's actually a term for it. I guess it's described. I probably spaced out. We probably read about it. But, like, the new neophyte devotees in Krishna consciousness, they get strong, special mercy in the beginning. And then over time, then they actually have to deal with their anarthas. And then they have to actually, like, not just living on mercy. You have to, like... work those anarthas out. And then, but they also made the point that we shouldn't like tell that to like new devotees, oh, you're only blissful right now, but wait till you're like me and like you have to and then it's like we're going on books for a year and now you're like not like into it so much. But we shouldn't like discourage devotees like that. And that was just like one thing I remember us talking about. It's interesting. And then another thing is like you're talking about like how all activities outside of Krishna consciousness are abominable. Yeah, because everything outside of Krishna consciousness is just selfishness directly or extended selfishness that's talked about, even like charitable acts. One way or another, it's all in relation to yourself and the body, whatever makes you feel good, whatever you think is the right thing to do, and it's all selfish behavior because I think Prabhupada does say like the goal, what is the goal of life? And they thought he was going to say some philosophical, go back to Godhead thing, but he just said like simply like the goal of life is to be happy. Yeah. And so the materialists may make themselves happy in what they think is a grateful way or unselfish way, but ultimately that's the selfish behavior. And people will even approach Krishna consciousness with selfish motives, like there's the 4 types of people who approach initially, but ultimately, the supreme perfection of Krishna consciousness is to completely become selfless, like you said, desiring to serve others and ultimately serve Guru and Krishna. And so it's a selfless act to do so. We willingly, voluntarily perform so many austerities to benefit others, especially with like Lord Chaitanya's movement, but other transcendentalists may perform austerities too, and they may look same as us, meditation, whatever it may be, but their austerities are still usually in the selfish category, where our austerities are completely on the selfless category. We're doing it, like you said, you're bathing, you're thinking I'm doing this for Krishna, so it's like...
That's a good point. Like, only devotees are really selfless, actually. Like you're saying, a lot of people open up hospitals and charities, to really help them. No, because you want your name to be on the hospital. Like, what is this, like, whatever, like, Trump Hospital or whatever. Like, you're only doing this so that people can, like, glorify you, like, oh, he was such a, amazing, caring person, But no, it's completely like you're saying, it's actually self-centered.
Abhimanyu Siddha Prabhu has it. Abhimanyu?
Hey, Krishna Prabhu. Your names.
Yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Nick.
Hare
Thank
Krishna,
you for such an excellent class. That was really an amazing class. I'm just amazed. Thank you so much for your realizations. And on your point with this, what'd you say, Prabhu?
No, go ahead. You're good.
Okay. On the point with this Vaishnava Aparad, you were making the point that, the Vaishnava themselves may not, they're tolerant, they themselves might not take any offense. And I was just thinking, this is like really the scary thing about Vaishnava Rod, because I mean, when dealing with a Vaishnava, you may make an offense, and you have to beg for that forgiveness. But knowing that they're a Vaishnava, there's really no question of them. Like, there's no question of them excusing that offense, right? Because they're an ocean of mercy. So really, 9 out of 10, you can understand that because they're merciful, they're going to forgive you. But the scary thing is, I don't know where I read, maybe it was in a Bhaktivedanta purport, but one of the byproducts of Vaishnava Rad, that Krishna himself, he may not forgive you for making that offense. And so you run the risk of not only offending Krishna, but also Vaishnavas that are associated with that devotee you may have offended may also get offended. And we see that like in so many instances in Bhagavatam where a devotee gets offended and then so many devotees help them out. Even with these 5 Pandavas, Sri Draupadi, she was offended, but if I understand it correctly, and she wasn't throughout Mahabharata, she wasn't like so resentful. She was probably more forgiving. But if you look at the 5 Pandavas, they were merciless against the Kurus. They the moment that they touched her, they were finished. Like that was like they wrote their, that was like it. They wrote their death note. By offending her. And so I was just thinking that's the scariest thing. By offending a Vaishnava, you offend so not only that Vaishnava, but Krishna and so many other Vaishnavas. And it can be a really entangling thing altogether. It's not so simple just to offer obeisances and then like that devotee forgave me. That's it. You really put yourself in the tangle, and you have to prove yourself in so many ways. It's not just the excuse of the Vaishnava, it seems like, but it's so many other things. It's a really great risk.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it is a great risk, actually.
Gotta finish up. It's 9 o'clock.
Okay. Yeah, the class is running short. I think he wants to close it up. I'll just say one thing on what you were saying. It is a great risk. And it's like, we have to be very careful about committing these offenses. And I was thinking about, what's his name? Sabaru Mooney? How do you say his name? Shobra?
So Shabri Muni.
Yeah, Shabri Mooney, yeah. When he offended Garuda, and because of that offense, he was afflicted by material desires, and eventually fell down after seeing of course, externally, it was he saw a fish and he had lusty desires, but it's really because he committed Vaishnava aparat. I think the acharyas explained that. So even like you're saying, not only do you offend Krishna, then what happens is, you start getting all these material desires because of a Vaishnava aparad, which brings you farther away from Krishna. So
Yeah.
like you said, you can fall at the feet of a Vaishnava, but what's gonna happen is you have these material desires that start to sprout up because ultimately Krishna, he's not pleased with when you offend his devotees. So yeah.
Thank you so much for.
There's like other people that have questions online. We can answer them later.
Okay. All right. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for Hare Krishna.
Okay. If anybody has any questions online, we can answer them later. Okay. This is a question here. You want to just wait? Do it now or?
It's okay. So later.
Okay. All right. Shrimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Vancha